Hey guys, before I get on to the Starman books over here, I'm going to tell you a little something that's happened to let you get an idea of where I moved to. I'm not really, you can make up your own mind. I'm not really so much talking about the place, but a couple weeks ago, about the first couple days I was here, there's a gas station with a restaurant attached to it. The town I'm living in, you can seriously walk from one end to the other, okay? So, you know, we're adjusting to that, and I'm from a coal mining town, you know. Anyway, I walk into this restaurant, connected to a gas station, and I'm getting some dinner, and this old man starts looking at me. The old man is sitting there, and he's like, yeah, I know you. You know, he doesn't even sound like he's from around here. So, you know, I'm thinking, okay, I'm a new guy in town. I don't know. I just, you know, I was kind of brushing it off, laughing it off, you know, sort of. So I'm sitting there waiting on my food, and the guy keeps going. He's like, yeah, you moved in, you had the U-Haul. I got pictures of you. Every time you've stepped outside, I got you having pictures here. You weren't home the other day, and here's what time you got home. And this is like in front of everybody in this restaurant, and I'm just looking at him. I'm like, okay, and you are? He's like, well, I'm your neighbor, and I don't trust anybody. I'm from New York. So I'm still sitting here thinking this is just a crazy old man. I hate being that way. I'm pretty respectful, you know, but, you know, people who are actually working there just looking at me, just like giving me the eyes, like, you know, just let them talk, you know. And then he says he's going to do a background check on me. Okay, so, you know, I'm like, all right, okay. Now, I checked my email today, my Yahoo account. I get on there maybe once a week now. And I get this email, somebody's done a background check on me. I'm like, no way. I don't even open the email. I'm afraid it might be spam or something. So I go back to the restaurant tonight. First time I've been back since then. To get me a little something to bring home. And the guy comes up to me who works there. He tells me who the old man is. This is my neighbor now. He really is taking pictures. And he swears him down. He's seen some kind of paperwork where this guy used to work for the federal government of some capacity and work for the family. And he's retired. Guy swears him down. He's been like with John Gotti and stuff. So it's actually in the cards, as hard as it is for me to believe, that I got a neighbor who actually did a background check on me. He watches me when I go outside, and I feel like I'm in Meet the Parents, and I have no girl, you know. I'm going to go there and let the guy know that I don't milk cats, you know. Anyway. Getting on over here back to the comics, which is why you showed up. You know you did. The music just gets louder and louder. Chill out, Alice. Alright, we left off here. I think this is where we left off. We're doing the Starman books. And, you know, I probably, you never know who's watching this stuff, but now that I've gotten into these books and started showing you to them, and we're not even really halfway over yet, the biggest thing about this comic is you start finding out is that there's a theme going through there. I talked in the last video about legacy and stuff. I was checking off the cobwebs from not making a video for a while and being in a funk here lately. And the reason this book is so personal is that the theme going through the book is fathers and sons. Jack and Ted are finally becoming father and son, something they haven't been since, you know, Jack was a kid. And David's dead. You know, you kind of got the impression that maybe on the undertones there is that maybe, you know, the dad thought the wrong son died that night. You know, it went all the way back to issue 1 when David died. And that's why this is such a personal thing. And I don't want to hurt any feelings here in case, you know, somebody is watching, but I mean, let's call it what it was. Growing up, you know, I didn't really have the dad experience. I had a stepdad that was there, but it was far from any kind of real relationship. And maybe as I got older in things, I didn't really realize what I had missed out on. I mean, it didn't really bother me. By the time I met my real dad when I was 18, you know, it sounds like I'm going somewhere else with this. When I met my real dad by 18, it was so funny because I had sort of wanted to know who my dad was. It wasn't so much I wanted to meet him. It's just by the time I got around to meeting him, you know, it was almost like it was too late. I had some fires in the iron, you know, turning 18 and ready to do something, you know. So by the time I met my real dad and stuff, sometimes meeting finding out things, the not knowing can be a blessing in disguise sometimes. Um, so basically, all of a sudden, we get this Starman book, and it's a comic book, and it's got this theme about fathers and sons in it, and they're repairing things. And I actually, on a small scale, got to, I guess, experience through this comic book the whole father and son bond that is supposed to be there, and that is just something I've never really had, So it was actually kind of good to be able to. It's kind of like never really seen a rose before, and you hear people talk about how good a rose smells. Well, thanks to this comic, I sort of still haven't smelled the rose, but I kind of get an idea of how sweet it could be. Okay, so that was actually kind of cool. And of course, I had my own son, and it was time for me to try to be a good father. And in an odd way, it was kind of cool to have a comic book give you an idea of what you missed out on. It's giving a lot of credit to a comic book, but it's the story and the theme of the book. It's a little bit of a lesson. It's touching on something I hadn't seen a comic book touch on anything. So let's get back in here. We're finally getting to the books. All right, Starman number 35. This is actually pretty good. This is actually the issue where Jack kind of comes in, and I think he stops a mad scientist, and he starts realizing he's starting to get the hang of this superhero biz. And, he's coming into his own. And he's kind of him and his father are really talking about things. And you start finding out that, the original Starman was part of the, I can't remember if they were called the Manhattan Project. Anyway, he was part of the scientists that worked with Einstein to make the atomic bomb. And that's how great of a scientist he is. And Jack is starting to respect his dad all over again. And things are starting to come out where you can see where some of the resentment comes from with his dad. They were just so different. And then later on, you'll find out that Mr. Starman cheated with the Black Canary on his family. We get a time past story. This is the 80s Starman, Will Payton. And you start finding out that Jack is dating his sister. And anybody that read this series, he more or less went off into space towards the end of the series, and nobody really heard from him again. I don't remember what happened, but it's setting up a big story arc that's coming. Okay? Another great issue, number 37. Great covers. Alright, now we get into the theme of fathers and sons. This is a great issue because the Mist actually comes in here, and I don't think they've ever really acknowledged this story, but the Mist is living in Europe with Jack's baby. We get the, and she fights the Justice League Europe when they all went lame, and she kills them one at a time. We make Nash the new Mist. Shows you just how deadly she is. If you get one issue out of the 30s of this series, this is the one to get. And it's never really been acknowledged. I mean, she doesn't kill. She kills most of them, and I think she's able to manipulate the rest of them and get them out of the way. It's an awesome story. This was a crossover with the Power of Shazam by Jerry Ordway at the time. Turns out some papers have come up where these two issues go together. Where it comes out where Bullet Man is being accused of being a Nazi spy or something, and Jack steps up and is helping to prove that he wasn't. Okay, this crosses over with the Power of Shazam. I don't have those anymore, but I plan on getting them. But I don't think you really need those two issues to enjoy the story. All right, we get a story of the Shade in O'Dare, and Tony Harris is kind of slowing down. We're getting more fill-in artists. I think his last issue was 47. Great stuff. We get a Times Past story. Science and Sorcery, 1944, guest starring Jack Kirby's Demon. Another great issue. Okay. And then, this isn't part of the Starman, but you need this one. James Robinson wrote The Mist one-shot, and this is part of Girl Frenzy. DC had, I think it was a 5th week event or something, where they just came out with all these books of the femme fatales of the DC universe. This is excellent. This is awesome, and it goes right into the Starman. So, basically what's going on is Starman is dating, Jack Knight Starman is dating Will Payton Starman, his sister, and you find this out, and she wants him to go into space to find him. And this just goes to show you how you can be a sucker for the ladies. He starts asking around, and we guest star with the Justice League, He's trying to figure out how he's going to be able to go out into space and stuff. Now, I'm going to go ahead and throw something out here because I don't know specifically what issue it is, but thanks to his cosmic rod technology, he actually does get a hold of a spaceship, and this ties into the Legion of Superheroes. The space travel and force fields and whatnot, some of the science that has made space travel available that you see in the Legion of Superheroes all these years comes from Starman. That is what Jack made a deal with his dad. I'll be the new Starman, but I'll do it my way. You benefit mankind with your science and stop screwing around with this superhero stuff. And this is what he ends up doing. It sets up the technology that's going to be used in Legion of Superheroes. Starman is finally becoming a big player, you know, tying into all this stuff of the DC Universe. Okay, times pass, things to do that go bump in the night. We find out that Phantom Lady, Sandra Knight, is the cousin of Ted Knight, and we get a little story there. Okay. And then it starts here. This is where it kind of like, this reminds me of Swamp Thing, where Swamp Thing did his big jump into space, traveling around in the green, and there's plants on other planets. Well, Jack Knight finally takes off into space, journeying to stars, and this turns into epic. I mean, the story is him going out into space, him finding Will Payton, and then we'll see what goes on here. Great, great stuff here. All right. Then we had an interlude. DC 1 Million came out, and this is the Starman of what was it? You know, of the future. The year 8525. The year 85,271. This is the Starman, right? And there is a Starman in the future, and you know, it's kind of cool. All right, another Times Past story, number 46. This is excellent. If you get an issue out of the 40s, get this one. Gene Ha did an excellent story. And they have the Jester. And the first thing he acknowledges is this Golden Age character, the Jester. How he looks so ridiculous dressed up like a jester. He says when you drop in on a mugger and you're dressed like this, they think you're crazy. Awesome story. 1954 is when this one takes place. Okay, so while Jack Knight's up in space, Opal City's still left behind, and you got the O'Dares and the Shade kind of watching over the town. And we start getting some plots going that's going to manifest itself when Jack comes back from space. Stars Be My Destination, The Blue World. This ties into Alan Moore's Swamp Thing story, where Swamp Thing was on a planet where everything was blue, and he left a blue husk behind. And on let me double check this one. I got 2 copies of this one. Alright, let me see what's going on here. So they land on the planet that was in the Swamp Thing series that Alan Moore did. They put on their Space Rangers outfit, a little nod to the DC's 50s characters there, which is actually really cool. This is the planet the Swamp Thing was on. They don't know it yet, and they find a Black Canary, who Ted Knight, the original Starman, had a big affair with, as you come to find out. And they run up across Swamp Thing. This is the husk that Swamp Thing left behind in Alan Moore's stories. But oh my, you know, they're there talking to him, and all of a sudden he just cracks old Michael Thomas in the face, rips off the husk, and oh my God, it's Solomon Grundy. That's just the kind of thing you get in this series. All right, then we continue. Stars Be My Destination. This is Talking with David, 1999, another great issue. The great 50 issues continuing lighting the way. This is great gold letters, and that, you know, what was going on. And here's the one that brought me back. When you're in the DC universe and you're carrying a theme in a book of fathers and sons, where are you going to go? You're going to go to Jor-El. Okay, they ended up time traveling a little bit, and you find out that these 2 guys meet Jor-El when he's a teenager, and you find out that he's having problems with his father, and is now, thanks to Starman, what they did is when they went off, Jack got to spend a lot of time with his dad because they loaded down sort of a copy of the personality of Ted Knight inside of a mother box. They got a mother box. So he has this hologram of his father he's been talking to. Well, Jack Knight remembers a little bit about his dad's science, you know, growing up, and realizes that the binary code is the universal language, and he provides Jor-El with the coordinates to Earth. Jack Knight is responsible for Jor-El finding Earth and sending Superman here. Alright, we get it in Adam Strange, much like they did in the Swamp Thing book. We've got, we're still continuing Stars My Destination. He's still looking for Will Payton. Alright, Stranger Still. It continues here, number 53. And then we got Times Past story, the Scalp Hunter years, 1899. The great Scalp Hunter of DC's Western stories actually ended up being the sheriff of Opal City back in the day, and the Shade knew him. Taxi Cab Confessions, we got the Space Cabbie in this one. Great book, great book. Alright, and then this is where the book sort of actually, James Robinson actually did this cover, the guy writing it, I think. That's what I've always been told. But this is where the book started. You could tell everything that had been building up over the years was finally starting to come together. Okay? So you see the people defending Opal while you got the Black Condor, Phantom Lady, little Shade there. They're defending the city while, Jack's up in space. All these issues tie together. Okay, there's 6 of them. But now he's finding Will Payton, he's bringing in Prince Gavin, and I'm not doing justice to the story. Everything ties in together. There's characters that were only in this series, like a guy named Bobo, who was cool, and all this stuff. But all this stuff is finally coming together, and we're having like this big space war. Stuff's going down in Opal City. Stuff's finally going out in space. It's led to a great big huge war on this one planet that they're on. And I really need to go back and read it and stuff. And even on this, there's the Starman from the Legion, and I think he popped up in issue 50. That's how they got the time bubble to go back in time to see Jor-El. It's all coming back to me, folks. Michael Thomas, Blue Starman. Prince Gavin, the conclusion of this great story. Okay? And then we have the Starman of 1953. This was a great big huge mystery of who was the Starman of 1953. And this leads to one of the last great arcs of the story, Grand Guignol, Guignol. This is a prologue of what's going on. There's basically a war going on in Opal City. And then the story really starts. Great stuff. Whoa, we lost one. And Jack's back home. We'll just leave it at that. Alright, let's finish it out. Alright. Things are going on in Opal City. Just everything that the series has been kind of building up to is taking place in these stories. I'm not going to really get into it. Great covers going on here. Number 65. Adam Strange pops up on Earth here, looks like. I hope I'm remembering this right. We start getting more heroes in the story. The Shade is going up against this little demon man that you find out has been living inside of him. Jack Knight going through some crap here. The Mist shows up, all these other villains, Solomon Grundy, another ragdoll back, this little demon that was living inside the Shade, big time trouble. Okay, Doctor. And then we get something about the women here in all this one, I don't remember. Can't wait to go back and read this. And here's the street fight that's going on. And I'll go ahead and tell you, this is going to come back. In the teens, in my last video, I said it wrong, but there was an issue of Times Past where it showed Starman, the original Starman, the original Mist fighting for the first time. Well, I will tell you that this series leads up to them fighting for the last time. It was all built like a set of Legos. Yep, here we go. Jack Knight, showing to fight the Mist. He's actually got more of a hero look now because he wears the jacket to stay warm when he's flying, but he put the logo on the back. And he's all into tattoos and stuff too. And I'm not going to say what happens in this, but this is a little homage. There's Jack Knight, or Ted Knight in his, I think, 80s, and him in his prime in front of him. So you might get an idea what's going on. And again, I can't say too much. This is the epilogue. I don't want to ruin it. So... And then we get a Times Past story where this guy, Scalp Hunter, as a sheriff, is badass. And he's got his little star there, where he's the sheriff. Great story, man. Then the whole thing about the theme of this book is just out in your face. Fathers and sons. He met Jor-El. Does he talk to him about it? You never know. What advice does Superman have? Talking with David 2001, Jack Knight has grown into a better man. You see the sheriff star there. I'm not going to say if it's Scalp Hunter or not. And, there's old, who's this young man back here who now is joining David to talk with him. Making peace with your father and yourself. And then we get the story about the last little string they're going on. Who was the Starman of 1953, 51? I don't remember. Great story. He goes back into the 50s, gets kind of stuck there with the Hour Man, and just a great little arc, man. Just winding everything up. Jack is smiling more. He's just grown into a great character. And oh my God, is he holding his son? Could that be it? And that's the last issue. They did come out with issue 81 back in 2010. Basically 9 years later, but Jack Knight is not in that one. So look at that. Now these are the specials that came out. 80-page giant. You've got to get these. These are awesome, man. They got some of the best artists, best stories in them. They got this story where I think it's in the 60s or something like that, but in Brave and Bold in the 60s, you had a couple stories of Starman and Black Canary teaming up in the Brave and the Bold. Well, you find out they're in a hotel room, and they're kind of laughing about how stupid people are to go to a hotel room when Black Canary herself is married to a detective. She knows all the tricks and stuff, and they get busted. And the O'Dare dad, the cop I've been telling you about, you know, he sort of he helps cover it up. They catch the guy that took the pictures and everything and helps him cover it up. Great Shades journals, heroes, some secret origins of the two Starmen that passing the torch, fill-in stuff, a complete Starman timeline in this. Starman, it's just, you know, it kind of reviews the legacy and all this stuff. I mean, these are all essential and great. And then you get Starman, where you've got Shade in the future kind of giving you an overview of all these Starmen and stuff. You know, that was a big annual event they had going on of Heroes Past. Then they did some pulp stuff. Gene Hogg did the story. This might be the one where, you know, they had the great story of that I just got through telling you about Black Canary and Starman getting busted having an affair. Okay. That is still not it, though. But if you look it up, you know, they'll kind of tell you that that's the complete series. There's a bit more. James Robinson and Mike Mignola got together and they did Batman, Hellboy, and Starman. 2-issue miniseries. This is excellent. You know, you got your Nazis. They kidnapped Ted Knight, Jack's dad, and you know, I've already told you that if you follow along that, you know, Batman and Starman do not get along. Jack, they don't get along. Great stuff. And believe it or not, Stars and Stripes #0. Okay, this fills in the gap a little bit about why the Star Spangled Kid of Infinity Incorporated and the Seven Soldiers of Victory, him and Jack met with Ted there, and it's an interesting little story kind of told in flashbacks. You get like two, three pages of the regular story, and then you get a different artist and James Robinson coming in, and you see where Jack Knight got the star. You know, he was actually becoming Starman when he was a teenager way back in the day. This is I'm not a fan of Stars and Stripes. I'm not, you know, I'm not really into her, but she does become the Star Woman. I mean, it's all tied into this belt that is Starman technology and the cosmic rod, and you know, just being told in flashback. And right now they got the Shade miniseries going on, but that's not the first one. James Robinson had this came out in '97. Every issue is a great artist about the Shade and who he is, how he became. Okay, this one's got Gene Hogg. This one's got J.H. Williams, who's doing a Batwoman now. You know, we got Brett Blevins, you know, who he did New Mutants, and then he went on to work with Bruce Timm and them, I believe, on character designs or something with the Batman cartoon. And then Mike Zulu, #4, Harvest Inn, where Mike Zulu made a name of himself on Starman there for a while. This guy was really taking off. His pencils were so great they did not ink them. That was his catch. This guy had a style that was so good they just left his pencils. Look around here, make sure I'm not forgetting anything since I got your attention. You know, and basically I think that's the biggest chunk of what you need. Just a great, can't believe I made a video this long, but it's a great series. You need to check it out. Themes of fathers and sons. I've hesitated for, you know, since I've been making this video to jump in there because I never thought I'd be able to do it justice, and I still don't think I did. But I don't want to overhype the thing. It's more a personal story. I think it's more in there with males. I mean, it's got, you know, Jack's girlfriends and a little bit of, you know, he's a person, you know. And, you know, I did see a little bit of myself in him, but I can also see a part of Jack of anybody who loves collecting and just needs to grow up a little bit. All right, thanks for watching.